Hey guys, welcome to another video. And in this video, I want to talk to you guys about the importance of understanding that the words that we use in our day-to-day life carry a lot of weight. Whether that's just with family, whether that's with friends, whether that's with coworkers, it's important that we understand that our words can either build someone up or they can break them down. And so, to tell you guys a quick story, this was probably about a year ago. And so, I'd had a long day at work, hit the gym after work. I'm coming home, just trying to eat, relax, watch some football, and get ready to call it a night. And I remember my wife wanted to watch something else on TV. And there was a show, we had been watching, and she wanted to watch that instead. But I remember it was a really good game on that night. And I can't remember exactly who was playing, but I was thinking about ideas for videos, and I remembered this story. And I remembered how I really wanted to watch the game though, and she really wanted to watch that show. And so part of me just kind of not thinking, it'd been the end of a long day. I was just mentally tired. I was physically tired. I told her that she was being needy in the moment. And to just kind of see like the shock and the hurt kind of on her face, it really made me realize that wow, like A, I shouldn't have said that, but B, it made me realize, oh, like I really should have thought more before just speaking. And being mentally tired or physically tired isn't an excuse to not think before you speak. And seeing that, all of a sudden I just remember she was hurt, and then I apologized and said, that's not what I meant. And then I had to, of course I walked it back, and I was like, oh, it's just that I really wanted to watch this game and it's been a long day. But even though of course she forgave me and we talked it through, it did make me realize how, even though there are certain phrases that we use that we may not think are all that big of a deal because we've heard them used all the time, or we've just kind of used it jokingly with other people, other friends, or whatever, it's still important to understand that not everyone is like that. Different people have different triggers and different things that will make them upset. And just because a word can be used with one person as a joke doesn't necessarily mean that it can be used with another person in the exact same manner. And so after that, I just made a vow, of course, to her and to myself that I would always think before speaking, and I would never react just suddenly and react without thinking to anything. And if there was a time where I felt like I wasn't in a space to talk, or if she wasn't in a space to talk, we agreed that it'd be best that, we might take a breather. That means it might be best that, you just take a few minutes and kind of collect your thoughts before you just go and kind of spew out whatever's on your mind. Because one thing I've learned since being married is it's not about being right, because you can be right and wrong at the same time. And it's about, as men, we have to put our pride to the side, and we can't be so focused on proving ourselves right. Sometimes it is about compromise. It is about saying, okay, well, yeah, there's this game I really want to watch. Maybe I'll watch the first half and then we'll watch her show. Or maybe that means we'll watch part of her show and then we'll watch the second half of the game. Or, we watch the game today and then her show tomorrow. But it's about understanding the only way you can reach that point of compromise is if you don't get too upset or too angry and react in a way where now, even if she leaves or whatever, yes, you're watching the game, but now you're stressed or frustrated, and now you're not enjoying the game as much as you want to. And now you're just adding even more stress to your plate from the stress or, the frustrations that the day already had. And so that's what I've come to realize is in order to have a peaceful home, you have to be peaceful yourself. You can't be quick to anger, but then still want a peaceful home and still want the kind of home that brings you peace and alleviates your stress. And so, even that whole situation happening, it reminded me of how in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, it says, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." And I love this because it really just accentuates that. It really just, emphasizes the point that our life, our verbiage, our words can either speak life into someone or they can speak death into someone. Whereas for me, when I read that, I think your words can either inspire someone to believe in themselves, or your words can have someone constantly overthinking, constantly doubting themselves, constantly thinking that they're not capable of achieving what they want to achieve. And for those of you who've had parents where they've been super critical of you, they haven't given you much praise, they haven't recognized when you've actually done things well, you look at the impact that that's had on your confidence. And oftentimes we see whenever someone grew up in a household or even had friends that constantly doubted them or constantly criticized them, they internalize those thoughts subconsciously. And now when it comes to applying for a job, when it comes down to asking a girl on a date, asking a girl to be your girlfriend, proposing, it all of a sudden these thoughts, these internal thoughts and self-limiting beliefs start coming back. Where maybe if a kid was always roasted for his appearance, now when it comes time to ask a girl out, he's constantly doubting his appearance and going, "Oh, well, I actually don't like the shape of my nose. Oh, actually, my teeth aren't straight, or, I do have a space between my teeth. So therefore, like, this girl isn't going to like me." And it's crazy how these thoughts that we heard over and over again as kids kind of manifest themselves again in us, as we're getting older. And that's why it's extremely important, whether it's kids, whether it's your girl, whether it's friends, to constantly be aware of the way that you talk to them and the verbiage that you use with them. Because even if you own a business or you have employees that work under you, if you constantly talk down on them, if you constantly make them doubt themselves, you can't be surprised when you get a result that's not as good as what it could have been. If you empower everybody to believe in themselves, to believe that they can do great work, that they're capable of great things. And so I also love how it says, that second part of the verse, it says, "And those who love it will eat its fruit." And for me, what I think of when I read that is when you speak life into somebody, they will love it and then they will want to do the best they can. Whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's kids, when you speak life into someone constantly, they will want to live up to those words and they'll feel encouraged to live up to those words. And if they fall short or if they don't, it's important that you continue to speak life into them, because that way you will allow them to not get overly frustrated, and you will allow them to not just kind of toss their hands up and give up on their dreams. And so that's why, like, I love the Bible so much, is I love the fact that when you read it, there's so many things that's in here that apply to current life today. And it's not just one of those things where you read it and you go, "Oh, well, this was a problem for people years and years ago," but definitely not me. I don't struggle with that. It's so cool to know that, wow, like, if I'm struggling with something, if I made a mistake, the key is right here. The answer is in the Bible, and we just have to go to it. We just have to pray. We just have to go to God when we're doubting ourselves, when we're unsure of what the future holds, when we feel like we've made a mistake or we're not doing enough. Chances are the answer to what we're struggling with is in the Bible. And the Bible that I read, it's called Every Man's Bible. And it's so cool because it has different parts throughout the Bible where it'll talk about different verses on, for example, lust, or different verses about money, different verses about work. And there will be pages on that. And at the bottom of a lot of the pages, it'll kind of break down different verses. So as you're reading the Bible, you can see, oh, well, okay, actually, I didn't know what that meant. And then you'll see at the bottom kind of the almost like the interpretation in a way of it, just to make it a little bit easier to understand. And I love that. And so the link for this, I got it from, or actually my wife had gotten it for me from Amazon, and it's amazing. And so I dropped the link to it in the description below. And also, if any of you guys are struggling with relationships, whether you're single and looking for that person, I wrote this ebook that's called I forgot what it's called actually. I wrote it a while ago, but I dropped the link to it in the description. And basically, what I talk about in that ebook is I talk about the importance of remembering that before you were chosen by another person, you were chosen by God. And so, because of that, it can get so easy for us to seek validation from the outside world, whether that's from women, whether that's from our job. But it's important to understand that we already have all the validation that we need because we were already created in God's image. And so any form of doubting ourselves, any way of us just kind of thinking that we're not worthy is not the way that we should be thinking. We should be thinking that we're worthy of all of the good things because we were created in the image of God. And so, yeah, you guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about what I learned that day. And I wanted to talk about these things because a lot of men struggle with the same things that I'm struggling with. And I feel like if I can make these videos and I can make these, pieces of content to help other people, they can make just other men, including myself, the best men that we can be. And we can truly learn to honor God in our daily lives, in our family lives, in our marriages, in our relationships. And so because of that, that's just been a huge reason why I've been so inspired and motivated to start making content on these things, because there are things that we need to hear. There are things that I need to be reminded of. There's things that will allow us all to continue to improve and continue to become the best versions of ourselves. And so now that I'm actually thinking about it, I definitely need to find the type. That's what it is. It's so the title of the book is called Loved Already: How to Stop Chasing and Start Believing. And I was like, I can't believe I forgot the name of it, but yeah, you guys, that sums it up. That's the title of the ebook. So if you guys are curious, definitely consider getting that through the link in the description. If you guys stayed for this entire video, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to all of you guys in the next video.